Looking off to my right, there's a little body of water there that is down at Convict Bay. You heard that name again along the tour. We're now leaving Ordnance Island and making our way across the bridge that connects Ordnance Island with Queen Square. Looking off to my right, there's a cenotaph and two large cannons. That cenotaph is a memorial to all the Bermudians that fought in the two world wars. Looking further off to my right, where the two flags are flying, that is our town hall. The town hall is where the mayor, common council, take care of the business of running the whole town. As we make our way through Queen Square, we will be making a left turn onto the Duke of York Street. You'll notice on this tour this morning that many of the streets we're going to be jumping on are named after oil. The Duke of York visited Bermuda several years ago. He came here to dedicate a memorial to all of the crews and completed and returned over the years. That memorial is over on St. David's Island. To my left is the Old Globe Hotel. It is now the museum for the Rose Dead Runners. To my left, as we make this left turn traveling west, coming up on my right is St. Peter's Church. St. Peter's Church is the oldest continuously used Anglican church in the New World. Once you make your way across, just I want to help this fellow folks. Off to my right is St. Peter's Church. St. Peter's Church is the oldest continuously used Anglican church in the New World. Once you make your way up to the 26th steps and travel to those two open doors, you'll be a part of over 400 years of history. And I hope you notice those beautiful Bermuda cedar doors. Temptations is a very nice place in that time. We will be making a right turn on Queen Street. Please put your arms on the inside of the coat. As we make this right turn, looking off to my left, that white building with the blue trim, that is our police station here in St. George. As we make our way north on Queen Street, the first alley comes on the left of Taylor Valley. At the end of Taylor Valley is Rebel. The alley was named after a slave who became an accomplished marine pilot, and he was the first slave to own a house here in St. George. And to this very day, the descendants of Pilot Darrow still reside on Darrow Square. So coming up on my left, there's a little two-story gray cottage with a chimney on the far end. That is where the descendants of Pilot Darrow lived to this very day. To my left. To my left is Stewart Hall. Stewart Hall was built as a residence back in the early 1700s. Today it is the home of the Bermuda perfumers. To my right is Church Lane. Halfway down Church Lane is the back entrance to St. Peter's Church. In traveling around Bermuda, you'll notice that most of the houses have names. Coming up on my left is Lemon Grove. Looking off to my right, there's a mailbox on the wall that says number 1. Approximately 50 years ago, the government implemented numbers to make it by far easier to deliver the mail to most of the houses that need. Coming up on my right is Broad Alley. To my left is Princess Alley. Years ago, when they were dividing the land, there's a thing called the lot was very small. So the owners built right on the boundary line to get the maximum of the land. They also built high boundary walls for private. The old town of St. George will always have its narrow streets, as you can see. There's not much room for it. Coming up on my right is Chapel Lane. Chapel Lane, very much like Church Lane, they both live street with the book of Clarence Street. You heard that name, but that street again. blanketed the Bermuda cedar trees back in 1942 and destroyed approximately 95% of our Bermuda cedars. At that time, Bermuda cedars were very plentiful. Furniture, souvenirs, construction was done out of Bermuda cedar. And most of all, most of our largest church, the entrance doors are made out of Bermuda cedar. Looking off to my left is Richard Allen's African Methodist Episcopal Church, and you see they have beautiful cedar doors to the entrance of that church. We're now making our way to the park gate. Now the park here in St. George is the place to represent the entertainment. Big, great, cricket, football. Over the years, we even shared the park with the St. George's Golf Club. They no longer operate as a golf club. To my right is the St. George's Prep School. As we make our way further on, we are now entering a stone quarry. Now this stone quarry hasn't been in use for many years, but when it was in use, it was operated by hand. Most of the houses we just passed and buildings were built out of stone that was quarried right here in this stone quarry. Looking to my left and to my right, you can see the vertical cushion mark. The back cut was made with a hand chisel, the front cut was made with a hand saw. Bermuda stone was quarried 2 inches thick, 24 inches long, but it varied in width from 6 inches to 14 inches. It became such a demand for building materials that today most of the building is done out of concrete blocks made here in Bermuda. The roof of Bermuda buildings are also poured stone or poured slate. The slate is poured 1 inch by 12 by 8 feet. And that's why I tell you keep your eye on the inside of the coast. Now the interesting thing about a Bermuda roof is that the slate is not glued, nailed, or screwed to the wood structure. It just rests there. It is held in place with a cement, sand, and lime mortar, and in places weighs approximately 43 pounds per square foot. So you can see it's a very heavy roof designed to withstand high winds. Coming up on my right, there's a fuel shed. Has a typical Bermuda roof on it to my right. Back in 2003, Hurricane Fabian hit Bermuda with winds gusting up to 162 miles an hour. And we're happy to say that most of our roofs and buildings weathered that hurricane. To my left is a part of the old St. George's Golf Course. But I want you to know we do have beautiful golf courses here in Bermuda. As a matter of fact, the PGA Grand Slam of Golf has been played for the past 7 years at Port Royal Golf Course, Southampton, and the Middleton Golf Course here in the parish of St. George. Did you know that Bermuda is not considered to be a part of the Caribbean islands? We are too far north, but we're just a bunch of beautiful islands out there in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Did you know the closest mainland to Bermuda is Cape Hatteras, North Carolina? Cape Hatteras is approximately 670 miles west of here. Did you know of one of Mark Twain's favorite quotes? It is, "You can go to heaven, but I would rather stay in earth." Did you know Bermuda was discovered by Warren Bermuda back in 1550? And that's how we got our name for named after Warren Bermuda. But in 1609, Sir George, some of his close friends and acquaintances were shipwrecked off St. George. But it wasn't until they came ashore that Britain was able to proclaim to Bermuda as one of her colonies. But in 2009, we celebrated our 400-year anniversary, and what a celebration it was. One whole year of celebration. But the highlight of our celebration was as we make our way west, coming up on my left is the St. George's Beach Club and Single Man's Quarters. The government has a major problem in recruiting officers for the Beach Board. So they cover Occasion and parts of the Caribbean, recruit officers trying to bring them back, get the job done. To my right, that green building is a old military church. It is now the Ethiopian Orthodox Cathedral. The green building to my right. Years ago here in Bermuda, we used to grow lots of Bermuda onions and ukulele and ship them all over the world. We no longer do that. And the reason being is that much of our arable land is now being used to house a villa. But every year, a special bunch of these ukuleles is gone and sent to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II for her Easter season. We are a British colony, and our governors are appointed by the Queen. Here in Bermuda, we have many herbs and seasons that grow wild. Wild thyme, parsley, sage, fennel, and spice. Spice is widely used because it is an excellent seasoning herb. I would like to stop this for a minute or two and introduce you to some Bermuda spice. We celebrate that occasion with us. Bermuda is divided into 9 parishes, starting from the St. George, Hamilton Parish, Parish Devonshire, Texas Parish, Paget Forest, Southampton, and if you had to go forth and go out to the Delta area, we have several concerns west of the Coast Island of the Something directly out in front of us is known as Morris Anchorage and the North Shore. Opposite to the North Shore of the coast, the coast is where you'll find many of our beautiful beaches and white sand beaches. But I want you to know we do have beautiful beaches here in the East End. We will be making a right turn road. And as we make the right turn, looking off to my left is Tobacco Bay. Tobacco Bay is a popular swim place for our visitors and Bermudians alike. It is ideal for the children and the non-swimmers because it's very shallow. It is excellent snorkeling because there's so many coral reefs and little islands close by. Tobacco Bay got its name when some of the early explorers of the island found tobacco growing in this area. Tobacco Bay is a very nice place to spend a few hours at the beach. And if you love snorkeling, Tobacco Bay is the place to come. This is one of those two-way roads that I spoke about when we were at Orphan Island. As we make our way on road, coming up on my left is reddish, brownish, greenish looking head. The name of that head is Match Me If You Can. There are so many stories being told about the Match Me If You Can. To my left there's Isis Kiss and Holy Anchor head. Those are the 3 most popular water temperature is approximately 85 degrees. Many of the shuttles were caught and tagged. 3 months ago, a shuttle was caught just off Bermuda shipping tag that had been tagged in South America 30 years ago. From time to time, the appears to the same shuttle swimming around here in 2 months. It's been a time right behind like the way it is at the time. Coming up on my left with that flag in mind, that is Fort St. Catherine. Fort St. Catherine is a museum that is open to the public. The museum houses lots of treasures brought across from the ship and a collection of castles. Just to the left of Fort St. Catherine is a huge beach, better known as the beach house. To the right of Fort St. Catherine, the many younger Bermudians they know that as Fort St. Catherine. Once directly out in front of it, out into the Atlantic Ocean, is where StGeorge transferred ship was. Traveling with him at that time was Sir Thomas Gates. Sir Thomas Gates was the designated governor for the state of Bermuda in North America. When he came ashore on the first lifeboat, he named it Gates Bay. So the historic name is Gates Bay, but the popular name is Fort St. Catherine Beach. Fort St. Catherine Beach is another popular swim place for visitors and Bermudians alike. You can get a glimpse of the beach with its open bed off the island. And as you look through the ocean, down into the ocean, the dark markings you see just out from the surf, that is seaweed. When the ocean really gets rough, that seaweed comes on shore. But it will not stay on shore very long because the farmers will come and fetch that seaweed and take it down to make their food trees. The farmer says, placing the seaweed on the base of the fruit trees will give us bananas and citrus a very distinctive taste. So it's farmers are able to keep it. Looking off to my left out into the ocean, you can see those 3 deep water channel markers. Just to the right of those 3 markers, you can see a series of deep water channel markers all the way out into the ocean. Whenever a ship arrives in Bermuda waters, the captain contacts the pilot station at Fort George here in St. George. The captain is told that the ship is to descend for a deep water channel zone. Once the ship arrives in the descent, it is met by a pilot who is trained by the government to carry the ship through that most may have been St. George's Harbor. And we can hop over to see my heritage home. Looking at the area of those deep water channel markers, you can see the water dark blue. That color tells you very deep water. Come in the Pacific, you see the turquoise blue also. That color tells us it's a sandy bottom. But looking just off in front of this pier, those markings tell us there are coral reefs below the surface of the water. So you can see if a ship or a boat of any size just climbs one right outside of those deep water channel markers, it is a disaster waiting to happen. Looking off to my right up the hill, up until 2008, we had a 7-story hotel on that hill. That hotel was operated by Lowe's, Club Med, and Holiday Inn over the years. We had an implosion on that hill in 2008 to make way for our new hotel condominium. Well, probably most of you weren't in Bermuda 2 weeks ago, but 2 weeks ago the weekend paper had this great big spread across the front page. St. George's is getting a brand new hotel. The people here in St. George have heard that story so many times. As a matter of fact, that hotel stayed unoccupied for over 25 years. To my left is a playground for water sports, scuba diving, mountain diving, jet skiing, parasailing, we make our way to the top of the hill, looking off to my left, you can see those many charts and markings that tells us there are coral reefs below the surface of the water and how dangerous it would be to climb up with a ship outside of those deep water camouflage reefs. As a matter of fact, directly opposite us, right here, is where StGeorge summoned his crew and friends and the sea rancher with shipwreck, right off the dirty island. Coming up on my left is a memorial to the survivors of the sea wreck. This memorial was dedicated on our 400th anniversary of the shipwreck. That is dedicated to the survivors of the sea wreck. As we make our way east on Berry Road, we will be making a right turn on Grenadier Lane. But if we were traveling all the way around on Berry Road, that would give us an opportunity to see Alexander Battery. Gate 4. Gate 4 marks the entrance to the town cut. The town cut is the entrance to So coming up on my right is Goose Bay. Goose Bay to my right. To my side, to my left. To my right is an old military cemetery. To many old Americans, they know that that's a flag cemetery. Because most of the people who were buried here died from yellow fever. To my right. Back in the 1800s, they did it garrison cemetery in Bermuda and enjoy. They worked for them on national sports, cricket, and football, soccer, all that. Up on my left is the old garrison. Looking further off to my left are some buildings that the garrison has that the government has put to various use over the years as schools, graduate centers, commercial, residential. But that light blue building, the top of that bright blue building, that building provides a home for our senior citizens here in St. Louis. In other words, citizens home. Coming up on my right, that blue building is a public school. One of the things that we're very proud of our school system, and that is every child attending school must wear a uniform, from preschool to high school. The blue building to my right is the primary school. As we make our way south on Grenadier Lane, we will be making a right turn onto Military Road. And as we make that right turn, looking off to my left, there's a two-story yellow building. That is an old Army barracks. There are some other stations here to the east end. You'll see many buildings in this area around that yellow building. But looking just off in front of that building, looking to the open and the overhanging edges, you can see those pictures to the front. That is the end of the line for our public transportation, just off to my left.
Yeah. There you go.
Looking off to my left, you can see lots of spice going here. Now coming up on my left, there's a Saranam cherry tree right here. You have too many people on this train today, but on Friday, I only had 8 people on it, and I was able to pick everybody a nice little carrot. So coming up on my left, this is another spice tree that has little berries on it. Those berries will get large and they'll ripen. When they dry, you can grind them up and make a powdered seasoning out of the spice berries. You can see lots of spice growing here to my left. Looking off to my right, this large tree, this is our shade tree for the summer. The Poinciana tree, the tree of beauty. Come October, the crown of the tree will be completely covered with red or orange blossoms. And you can see the blossoms sprouting out around the perimeter of the tree at this time. It is an awesome sight to see these trees in full blossom. To my right is Victoria Road, and that leads to Fort Victoria and Fort Albert. To my left is the beginning of Fort William. Fort William is where they smuggled gunpowder into Bermuda and store it here at Fort William. Down at Convict Bay, the smaller ships will bring the gunpowder in, offload it, store it here at Fort William. They'll take it out across the street, down the hill, out to Morris Anchorage, where the larger ships will be awaiting to take their gunpowder on to North America during the Civil War. Now, surprisingly, yes, no, Saturday, they had a reenactment of the gunpowder plot here in St. George. But if you would like to have some more information concerning that gunpowder plot, you can get that information at the Roads and Runners Museum. So looking off to my left, make your way up those 7 steps, and straight ahead is one of the many entrances of Fort William. You might remember when we were coming north on Queen Street, I made mention that most of the houses in the area built on a particular limestone coral. Well, coming up on my left, there were retaining walls built on a particular limestone coral. They were quarried by hand. Looking at this wall to my left can give you a very good idea how well a Bermuda house is built. This is the stone that was quarried by hand, laid in a cement, sand, and lime mortar. You can see the bottom portion of this wall has been plastered. This is a typical finish of the interior and exterior of a Bermuda home. There's another wall to my right, built on a Bermuda line. Quarried by hand. Coming up on my right is the unfinished church. This church was replaced by St. Peter's Church. St. Peter's Church was hit by a hurricane, but then a major Christian congregation, and much of the funds came up with. So the bottom line is they just did not have enough money to complete the church. So that's how we ended up with my right. And we've lost many parts of that church over the years. Coming around from here, I'm sure you'll notice that most of the roofs are white. One of the reasons our roofs are white is that we retain the rainwater off those roofs for our domestic use. Years ago here in Bermuda, we used to burn our own lime kilns, so we had pure white lime. At that time, they take the lime wash and whitewash the roof for the building. Once the lime wash dried, it left a micro dust on the roof, so whenever it rained, the rainwater will carry that micro dust down into the water storage tank, and it will purify the water while it's in its holding. Looking to my left, you can see this pink building has gutters running along the roof. And the steps that get downspouts, the vertical pipes, they carry the water down into the water storage tank. Each building has its own pressure system that provides the water throughout. Now we have another way of retaining rainwater, and that is through a water catchment. Traveling around Bermuda, you're probably looking afar and see a big white patch on the side of the hill. That is a water catchment. Same principle as the house. They remove all the soil, cement it, whiten it, then they have a tank at the end of that water catchment, and the water is delivered to each resident by a water truck. So the reason we have white roofs in Bermuda is because we retain the rainwater for our domestic use. Now this roof is looking kind of gray. You notice there's no gutters on this roof, so they don't retain the water off that particular roof. To my right is Governor Allen. You may have noticed on this tour this morning that many of all the buildings have one was used for cooking, the other was used for heating. Most houses here in Bermuda do not have a central heating system. Many of them still depend on back here to St. George's Historical Society Museum on the second floor. And there's an art studio also on the ground floor of that building. We will be making a left turn onto Bridge Street. As we make this left turn, looking off to my left is Bridge House. Bridge House was built as a residence back in the 1700s. It is still being used residentially and also commercially. We will be making a left turn onto Bermuda Street. And to my left, that Cobblestone Street is here. At the end of King Street, that white building with two crosses on it, that is our State House. The State House is the oldest British-built stone-constructed building in the New World. The old State House was built back in 1612. That white building with two crosses on it at the end of King Street. To my left is the back end of Bridge House. Also to my left there is Buckingham. In the garden there's a Buckingham Court. It was a court. Looking off to my right, just on the other side of the harbor, you can see Smith Island, Hunchback Island, Paget Island, Hen Island, and St. David. All those islands make up the parish of St. George. Looking further off to the right, you can see the St. David Lighthouse. We have another lighthouse here, the Gifffield Lighthouse in Southampton. The white building coming up on my right is an older comedian they know as the Casino. This building has had many uses over the years, but at this present time it is a major reference for Jehovah's Witnesses. This is their Queen's Hall, the white building to my left. Now making a left turn onto One Gun Alley. And we'll be making a left turn back onto the Duke of York Street. The Duke of York Street is our main street out of the island of St. George. As we make this looking off to my right, you can see the two pillars with white hats. Those pillars mark the entrance to the area. So George, summer, when he lived here, he made a request that it is to die in the Lightning Park to bury here. So George, Summer's heart is buried here in Summer's garden. Make your way through the entrance to the left, down this back, and the area where the George heart is buried. There's another memorial here in the garden, a memorial to a friend of mine, David Green. David's memorial is a hand-sculpted blue gate built out of Bermuda limestone floor. It is worth the walk back from the square to the garden. So you can take some memorable pictures of your visit here to Summer's garden. Where you know, just notice That is Bermuda's Cedar Springs. With our culture, that is Business Information Center. So looking further off to my left, you can see that red replica of the Deliverance. West of George is permanent crew and friends with the director in Bermuda. Many of them wanting to continue their journey onto the New World. So they built two brand new ships for Deliverance and the Faith. You do know the Deliverance made a successful launch and he did return. Several months after returning, Sir George suddenly died. His remains were sent on to England for burial, but his heart is buried here in Summit Garden, St. George. As we make our way across the bridge back to Orkney's Island, I must say thanks very much for spending this 45 minutes with me. I certainly enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. And I hope this gave you an opportunity to learn some interesting things about the old town of St. George and Bermuda. We are on TripAdvisor, so if you go to trip today, let them know that the best way to see the old town of St. George is to go umbrella. Enjoy the rest of your stay and have a Bermuda-ful day. Thank you.